Hi, welcome to Nepi Invest. Time for an A2 Milk update, December 2020 style. And the main reason I'm doing this update is currently A2 Milk has gone into a trading halt. Management have released the indications why they've gone into a trading halt, and it's in regards to changing their guidance. And typically, when a company goes into a trading halt, in regards to an update to their guidance, it's usually bad news. So I'm preparing as a shareholder, I'm preparing for some bad news, preparing for the likelihood that the share price of A2 Milk is going to take a massive hit when the release of this announcement or the news is released to the market, which could be any time soon, but any time between now and Monday, the 21st of December. So let's get into the reasons for the trading halt. So it's an update to guidance. I've already mentioned that. So the company have mentioned they've become aware of information which may require for them to release an announcement to revise their previously issued guidance to the market. Just the wording of that gives me negative thoughts, and more than likely this will be bad news. Typically, if there's an update to guidance and it's good news and a positive update, usually a company doesn't go into a trading hold. So they're probably at this point in time, management's going through this new information, not sure what it could be, and it's going to be bad news. So anyway, so when might the A2M trading hold be lifted? Well, typically it's going to be lifted any time between now and the 21st of December. So even though they've mentioned 21st of December, that doesn't necessarily mean that's when it's going to be released to the market, the news, and the trading halt lifted. It could be any minute now. A2 Milk's up to A2 Milk to decide that. So is this bad news? Well, it sounds like bad news to me, and it looks like the market agree. Indicative price at the moment is down 5.5%. So what's happening now is you can put in your bids, your buy bids or your sell bids into the market right now, and that's the price that the market is indicating it's going to open at if everything else is equal. So a lot of parts of the market think this is going to be negative news, and I can't disagree with them at all. Everything points towards this being more than likely a pretty big downgrade to the previous guidance. Now, they've released 4 announcements in the past, say 4 months or so, which has been negative. When they released the first announcement, which was the financial year 20 results in the 19th of August, the share price was nearly $20. Since then, it's just been a continual bad news driven cycle for A2 Milk. 8 days after the release of the financial year results, the directors decided to set out a large chunk of their holdings, which not necessarily bad news, but when they all do it, they all release or sell some of their shares. It's not a good look, and it's even a worse look when 1 month later they changed their guidance for the financial year 21. So profit downgrade that was, and it was exactly 1 month after they decided to sell out some of their shares. And that's not a good look. I didn't like that, and I have no doubt they knew the outlook was negative, and they decided to take some money out. And I think they were insiders, and they did make some money out of that. So not a lot of news in the last few months. The AGM about a month ago, in middle of November, they maintained their guidance. So that was about 1 month ago exactly, and then exactly 1 month after the AGM guidance or maintaining guidance, more than likely they're going to have another negative guidance, and that's another bad look for A2 management. So a lot of negative things happening with A2 management, and this is the first time since I've been holding them since 2016 where I've just had this really negative view of A2 management. So anyway. So at the AGM on the 18th of November, I've just mentioned they maintained their guidance, but they also mentioned that was difficult to forecast because the volatility around COVID-19. And they've also mentioned here they made a lot of assumptions in regard to they were thinking there was going to be a significant increase in revenue in the second half of the financial year based off some assumptions. And the old saying is, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. And I think that's what's happened with A2 management. They've made these assumptions, and more than likely those assumptions aren't playing out, and more than likely won't play out. And that's why they're going to see a profit downgrade for this financial year. So another bad look for A2 management moving forward. So one of my core principles when I'm holding a company is I need to trust the management. I've really trusted the management of A2 Milk over the last 4 or 5 years since I've held them. Typically, when they release guidance, they actually do better than their guidance. So that's one thing I really like to see management do is release guidance and then they do better than the guidance. And that's slipped in the past 4 or 5 months where they've released guidance and they're doing worse than guidance. So have A2 management destroyed that trust? Now, that's a question I've raised, but in fact, it could be a statement, and I could just leave out that have. A2 management have destroyed that trust. So just move that have to after management, and that's how I'm thinking at the moment. A2 management have destroyed that trust. And if they've destroyed that trust, that gives me the impetus and the reason to sell out, because one of my selling strategies in my long-term growth portfolio is to sell out when the story changes. And when I've lost trust in the management of a company I own, the story has changed for the worst. So in this case, the A2M story has changed, and more than likely, when the company releases their announcement, or whenever it is, I more than likely will sell out until they start to get into more of a good news cycle, at least anyway. Now, the market is smart, and it has hinted of the potential for more bad news during the past 4 months. So you can see the share price got to $20 in June, July. And ever since then, that $20 was a good price of resistance. And ever since then, the share price has drifted back with this flurry of bad news the company has released. In fact, the financial year results back in August, mid-August, that was the first sign of maybe you should sell out. And then when the director sold out 8 days later, that was the second sign. That's when I probably should have sold out if I was sort of viewing A2 Milk more as a trading play. And maybe that's a thing I should change in the future. One possible lesson I've taken out of this is maybe I should use go along more with my momentum sentiment portfolio, which is doing really well now, and just riding way to trend up momentum, just riding that as the share price increases, and sell out when the sentiment changes and the momentum starts to fall away, which what has happened with A2 Milk over the last 4 months. I should just listen to the market and sold out when we saw the first signs of a downtrend, and more than likely I would have done very well. But I was stubborn. I decided because I'd been holding on to A2 Milk for a long time, they've done very well for me. I'll just hold on, and because maybe they can overcome these short-term problems that they're experiencing, and more than likely those short-term problems have turned into medium-term problems. Now, could the updated guidance be positive? Well, maybe it could be. So typically when there is a positive updated guidance, the company just releases that to the market. They want to get out there as soon as possible. They usually don't go in trading halts in those sort of circumstances. So more than likely this is negative news. There's nothing we can do about it as shareholders. We've just got to view the announcement when it's released and just look at it and take the news and then judge the news based off its merits, and then decide whether to sell or even possibly to buy if you are bullish about the long-term future of A2 Milk. So that's all about this December 2020 update to A2 Milk. So unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be bad news. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, and hopefully I am wrong. This is one of those circumstances where I do hope I'm wrong. It's not always good to be right. So in this case, I'm hoping I'm wrong. If you have any questions about A2 Milk, leave it in the comment section. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. So just because I might sell, and if it doesn't mean you should sell too if you're a shareholder of A2 Milk, you've got to use or use your own sort of strategies and to decide yourself whether you should buy, sell, or hold, or whatever. If you do need some financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial circumstances. So that's all for today. Hope it's good news for A2 Milk when they release the announcement to the market. Otherwise, that's all for today. Have a good day. Bye.